Well, we're going to start with just a real basic overview. I know most of the people that are listening live are probably long-term participants that kind of know the general rundown, but we have had some new people coming in. We just launched a new token this week called SilverMint. As many of you probably already know, but we've had some new interest in the protocol as a result of that. So we want to make sure they know who we are and what we're about. You got myself up here. I'm Vu. I'm the founder of GoldMint Finance, which just released its second token, the SilverMint token, and we have Monkey up here as well.
Yeah. What's up, guys? Monkey, head of operations, doing the usual.
Yeah, the usual is a little bit of everything. So it's been fun this week for us for sure. It's always cool going through a Genesis. It's always a little bit scary, but it's a good experience to kind of get a new token onto the blockchain, especially in DeFi where you kind of release it into the wild, let the protocol mechanics take over and kind of see what happens. These are always an experiment. Any DeFi protocol is. So it's been really cool to see this one play out. So for anyone who's just catching up for the first time, we are GoldMint Finance. So we are an algorithmically stabilized seigniorage protocol on Ethereum, pegged to 1 gram of gold via Pax G. That's the token we use in multiple ways via our DAO and with our pair to both acquire stable yield for the protocol and to help determine the price of gold at any given time on the Ethereum network. PaxG is, in fact, backed by 1 ounce of gold for each token. So we divide each one of those by 31 to get a troy ounce broken down into a gram. And that's how we come up with the peg price of GoldMint. And GoldMint always tries to seek that price. So we just released our second token, SilverMint Finance, which is pegged to 1 ounce of silver. And that's been going well. We are 2 days, a little over 2 days into a 3-day Genesis. And we'll have a lot to talk about on that front tonight as well.
I think we're, I don't know the exact hours, but like 16 or 17 hours left or something like that. I can't remember the exact, but less than 24 hours left in the SilverMint Genesis. So keep on farming, keep on building LP.
Yeah, so that's kind of the basic rundown. But for those of us who are a little bit more familiar or participating in SilverMint actively or looking at what's going on right now, we've had a pretty good experience so far. I see a couple folks who have been here since the very beginning. I don't know who remembers, but when we launched GoldMint, we came out about 2/3 of the way through Genesis. We were at 0.01 peg. That certainly hasn't been lost on me. It's quite a different days from the initial tomb fork. So it's nice to see the token being released. It's been quite steady, slightly below peg, but the tax structures worked out quite well. We'll talk a little bit more about why we did that and how that's working tonight, but it's been a good deterrent. It's been a good deterrent on sells early on. They are free tokens that are gifted to participants in Genesis for staking. And we definitely want to make sure that as many people choose to use those tokens in a healthy way, like Monkey just said, providing LP and using it in ways that are good for the protocol. So we've done a couple things even since the launch of Genesis that you guys might have noticed. We just released the first single staking SilverMint pool. Since we were trading slightly under peg, we thought it would be good and fair to the community that when it was not a good time to sell, they should have an opportunity to have something to do with their token. If they couldn't get the price that they sought for it to pair for USDC, they can put it in the single staking pool. So that is, I believe, right now the highest paying. Those APRs vary quite a bit, but I believe at the moment it is the highest paying vault, which is the set of farms we have here at GoldMint Finance, just single staking those SilverMint tokens that you've earned. So it's a small pool because there's not too many people that can contribute yet. Like we said, we're only partway through Genesis. So it's been nice to see both use cases being embraced, both the provision of LP, which is very rewarding in the Genesis pools themselves, and the single staking of SilverMint. And then we'll talk a little bit about how at the end of Genesis here coming tomorrow, we'll move that LP pool from the gaining of new tokens through Genesis into our regular farms. And we'll probably see a change in the emissions percentages at those times, sometime tomorrow around noon EST, where maybe that SilverMint LP paired with US dollar coin, we'll start to have some really nice rewards in those pools too. So you guys can get ready for that. It'll give everyone something to do who's had that stake in the Genesis once Genesis is over. We're going to try to have a really good thing lined up for you guys to move right into going back to earning those share tokens.
Yeah, 100%. It'll be yeah, right after Genesis closes, the vaults will open up in the top part because Genesis has been hosted in like I guess the bottom section of the page. So yeah, the one or two new pools will be moved up into the top, earning SGLDM emissions. So yeah, it'll be pretty cool.
Yes, looking forward to it. And we'll touch on, I'll let Monkey expand on the tax in a minute here, but the two things that we did choose to do with this Genesis that weren't, really possible with the last one, we're doing the whitelisted Genesis, and then using the GoldMint tokens themselves for the Genesis instead of random tokens that were out there. So we've seen it as a good way to make sure that any of the gains that are going out there and even some of the sells that are under peg, instead of going to obscure people, who just happen to hear about it via a tweet or some marketing promo or something. We have seen the bulk of these gains, and earned tokens go to a pretty close group of good participants who have been with GoldMint since the beginning. There's been lots of opportunities to either win a whitelist spot or purchase one if you've been here for a while. That it's worked out well for the guys who've been hanging out since the beginning the most. So that did mean a lot to us. We always want to make sure that no one gets nervous because part of our purpose is to continue releasing these new tokens. We never want anyone to get nervous when we release a new peg. We want to make sure that it's going to go to the people that are already holding and to the good participants in the ecosystem already. They're going to get the first shot at something like that. And then the second thing that's been working pretty well for us in deterring sells is the tax. And Monkey can touch real quick on what the structure and numbers are for that and kind of how that's working so far.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, so far it's been doing pretty good. I think it's really good to just have is, I think it's like a mental thing. A lot of people will see it and like, maybe not want to sell if they know that like they'll have to incur a 20% loss or anything like that. So I think it was pretty good, but the tax structure, it goes when SilverMint is at and above peg, there is a 0% sell tax. And when it's at 0.9 peg, it has a 10% sell tax, 0.8 a 20% sell tax, and 0.7 30% sell tax, and 0.6 40% sell tax, all the way down to if SilverMint peg is half 0.5, there'll be a 50% sell tax, and it'll never go greater than that. So it'll cap at 50. So if SilverMint is at 0.1 peg, it's still going to be a 50% tax. Didn't want to make that like go all the way up to 100 or anything. I feel like that would be a little bit ridiculous. So we made sure there was a cap on there. But yeah, it's definitely been a good help, and it's going to help deter people from selling or wanting to take that loss, and keeping it at and above pegs. So that's a great time that you can take profits or sell a little bit to build a little more LP and continue farming and yeah, get the most out of the ecosystem.
Yeah, 100%. And we did have one other unforeseen benefit from that tax for the people who are following closely. We did have a bot that was participating in trades when people were making LP. It was reading the contract and specifically acting during that block. It must have been coded in some way that it could do a buy and a sell in the same block where someone else was doing a transaction and make sure that its transaction got through. It looked like it wasn't very profitable for the bot. We believe it was deterred. It only traded a couple times. But the one thing that does stop this bot from being able to operate is a tax. So actually, as soon as we were slightly below peg, it was no longer able to operate. We spoke to the dev yesterday very early in the morning, and he believed he did have a fix in. So we're hoping that when we get over peg, we will not have problems with that bot anymore. But one unexpected surprise was very early in the Genesis when just like with other protocols early on, you do have, kind of trading at a high value. When there was no tax, we did have some bot action in there. So although there are some disappointing things about being slightly below peg, during Genesis. This is just the start of a really good long term thing, and I think that that deterrent might have been kind of an unexpected reward of reward that kind of came out of that situation. So that's one thing for anyone who was noticing that earlier, noticed it went away. We do believe we took action to stop it, but we can't really tell if it worked because it wouldn't be operating right now with the tax structure anyway. So we'll keep you guys posted on that. Um, and those
Yeah.
are the major things that we have for Silvermint.
Yeah, pretty much. Get prepped for, and I think it's 19 or 17 hours or so from now when everything switches up and the new boardroom will open and everything. So probably see what the APR is in there and how many shares get staked, and um, yeah, see if we can get Silvermint up and above peg and printing at that time, and it'll be pretty interesting. GoldMint isn't too far off peg either. Seen some a little bit of sell action today, but nothing too crazy. So it's a little bit something the community can push back through, I bet.
Absolutely. I'm highly confident in these guys. And you always see a little bit of that during Genesis. There's a little bit of an increase in the price of the core token when a new token's rolling out. And then there's always a little bit of sell pressure towards the end of the Genesis. So we're extremely confident that we're going to be able to kind of keep GoldMint where we need it to be, and then use the tax system to kind of help support SilverMint as it's a little bit more fledgling. Remember, GoldMint's been around for 5 months. That doesn't sound like a long time when you say it at first, but when you think about DeFi and think about some of the protocols that you heard about 5 months ago, 99% of the ones that launched between now and then are probably gone. It's quite difficult to have that type of longevity in DeFi, and you need to have the type of team that we have here and the type of community that we have here. So we have both of those things and think we're going to be able to use that to take Silverman through. But we've definitely done everything we can on the back end to kind of give it that little extra push. And we're seeing that work now with the Genesis. It's been 1,000 times more pleasant than the one when we first released GoldMint. I guess Monkey and I have a little bit more experience along with the rest of the team from that time as well. So that factors in too. I
And yeah,
don't want to get too far into alpha this evening because I think it's important to focus on each thing at a time. Right now, we are focused on Silvermint, what the next pools are going to be, where we're going to direct people to participate in the best healthy way for the ecosystem as a whole is usually where you're going to see the best yield APR and stuff. So we're going to want to make sure we have that set up good. But definitely take a look at our roadmap. We've just kind of accomplished some key things with the launch of Silvermint and the ability to peg to something using Chainlink. That was really important to me personally as a founder. It was part of the reason I wanted to found this protocol specifically, GoldMint, was that we could start to achieve the concept of pegging to something that wasn't just a token. And I know we used a great token, PAX G, for the very first deployed token, GoldMint. But now that we've kind of found this ability to use an oracle and tap a data feed as our peg, we're the first token to do that. We can really expand this thing out from here and start to look at things that are less common and even less available on the blockchain than what we've already found. So we're going to keep chasing that route. We're going to look at the things that are on our roadmap, and we're definitely going to look at multi-chain soon, as we have two functioning ecosystems out there, pegged to gold and silver via PAX G and the Chainlink feed for Silvermint. I think it's a great time to start to make this available to some folks on the other chains. One thing I've learned is that some of the things we've changed recently were suggestions that some of the community made earlier. And one suggestion we've got quite a bit is that there were people who would be more interested in participating in GoldMint if they didn't have to deal with the Ethereum fees. And I always believe Ethereum is going to be a great home for us, but getting some tokens over to these other chains, we have awesome partners on both BSC and AVAX, really, and there are some doors that can be opened up. So that's going to be something that we are looking at and that we're actively discussing in our development chats and team meetings right now. So those are some things you can expect to hear more about once we move out of the Silvermint Genesis and kind of into the next phase of this protocol.
yeah, I think that was good. There's now that we have one of these, I don't know, kind of big and core developments done, and we're getting to completion and having it all completed, I guess, and ready and out there, we can finally start to focus on some of the other things on our roadmap and some more, utility and buckling down a little bit on the ecosystem and providing more value. So yeah, definitely a great time now that we can continue to do that. So expect some more stuff very soon, and we'll let you guys know and probably have some alpha and maybe some YouTube videos or something like that. So keep your eyes out for something.
Yeah, oh, that's a good point too. I did want to touch on that. We have been doing a light amount of marketing. I told you guys, and I did mean we weren't ever aiming to just reach too many degen, traders, especially for something like a Genesis where you're giving away free tokens. But we have reached out to some awesome community members like Crypto Degen and Bird Dog and DeFi Dan. And I'm not saying we've spent a bunch of money on marketing or anything like that, but just kind of ask some friends if in a reasonable way they could get some stuff out there to kind of get the word out, let people know about the changes we were making, what was happening with SilverMint and stuff. So we've had some of our good friends help us out on the marketing on YouTube. We've been talking to some people about doing a little bit more on Twitter as well. We have a lot of fun doing our Twitter spaces, but it's ran in-house and with volunteer wellness. I think wellness is down there, runs our Twitter spaces for us and stuff. So we're going to look at some ways we can get the word out there, maybe looking at Twitter Blue or check marks or promoted tweets or things of that nature. So we're always having those discussions on the back end, how to get the word out a little bit more. We're never going to be a invite 1,000 bot invite contest kind of protocol. And I think you guys know that by now. But we are definitely trying to get the word out there, get some things shared, especially with the new developments that are out there for the people who do want to hear about it and do want to be good participants, but maybe just haven't had the chance yet. So between that outreach and maybe looking in the near future at doing some expansion to multi-chain, we think we're really going to be able to do that. I do believe, guys, I think I just checked Ethereum gas. It was like 10 Gwei. It is not so bad over here on Ethereum. Do not be afraid to participate in the heart of GoldMint Finance if you're not already. It's not so bad over here on ETH. You just got to pay attention and trade at reasonable times. And this isn't a degen protocol where things swap back and forth, constantly throughout the day where you have to keep moving. So most people are able to take advantage of it, but for those who really insist, there may be some good opportunities coming soon for some of our friend and partner EVM chains where we have some resources.
Yeah, gonna be good. We probably also have maybe some more AMAs and things like that. We might try and do even like on back on some other places that we've done some before. We might message back and see if we can get back in, do a little bit of some marketing that way, I guess, go on some other servers. And it's a good time for us to promote and get the word out of GoldMint, I guess, especially with everything coming. So now that GoldMint's been at peg and printing a bit and SilverMint Genesis been going good, it's it's all looking up. So
Yeah, that's a good addition. We are also looking at doing some other Discord AMAs too. Telegram's still getting no love over there. I hope those guys are all right. Somebody check in on them for me, please. But a little bit more coming with Discord, YouTube, Twitter. Maybe we will hop over there and send a friendly message and let them know there's a Genesis going on.
The Telegram is so dead.
Yeah,
I've sent a
that's
message to
part of my fault, too. There are everyone kind of takes a liking one way or the other, and we have built just such an awesome community on Discord that I have just kind of found a home here as well. So that's part of my fault too. But we are trying to expand the outreach on most of those social fronts.
yeah.
Cool. We can probably open it up to questions now. You guys can either type them in the AMA chat, or if you want to raise your hands, hop up on stage. There's just a few of us here. I pretty much know most of you guys. I don't know if I've seen anything pop up in the chat yet, but if there's no questions, we can even move on to. Oh, thanks, Thelma. Just jumped into the general chat there. I saw you can hear me earlier. But yeah, if there's no questions, we can move into the giveaway. I think, Monkey, we might do a Twitter picker and get a SilverMint out there to somebody.
I can't do a Twitter picker on Discord, but
or the random number. That's
yeah.
You know what I meant to say. Thanks, brother.
I got you. I'll do that real quick.
We'll do the Facebook picker.
Yeah, Facebook. The best comment picker.
I
Alrighty.
do wish the one thing that Twitter has that Discord doesn't is kind of that ability to give like the thumbs up or the clap or the the likes and the things like that while people are talking during the AMA. So you do know how people are responding to things like that. I can understand that doing a voice chat where everybody can verbally chime in can kind of get out of control, especially in those spaces that tend to grow even a little bit bigger than these do. Um,
Yeah, I mean, some servers host their like AMAs and things in just a regular voice channel, so like anybody can unmute their mic and start talking, and it gets sometimes like a little bit out of hand because people like have no idea that they're even talking and stuff. I
yeah,
like
we
the
always
speak
like the
thing.
idea of opening it up at the end, but if nobody has any major questions, that's great. And you guys all know us. You can reach out, general chat, questions, suggestions anytime. Um, we're here all day long. So feel free to
Yeah,
reach out by any of those means.
I'll always be around to answer questions. So, I just did a random number generator for 1 through 10, and I got three. So that would be Aaron down there in the audience. Aaron, if you open up a ticket, we'll get you a little gift for coming and joining the AMA.
Nice. Well, cool.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much else. We're pretty
No,
much
we
just
can pretty much
buckling
wrap it up
down.
there.
Yeah, no, there's not much else. We got a pretty good Genesis going. Everything's going well. We're gonna shift everything over after Genesis into SGLDM emissions, and then yeah, it'll be buckling down on utility and other main focuses, and we'll make sure to get some alpha about that out there soon as we have some more finite details and plans about exactly what's coming next. So yeah,
Alrighty then. Well, thanks, guys. Thanks everyone for hopping in. Thanks, Monkey, and we'll talk to you next week.
cool.
Thanks.
See ya.
Bye.